Napier to bring a whole lot of cannabis to try and make a trade here in New Zealand. My dad was all about business. He was a business-minded person. Had been brought up on the streets of Wellington and the streets of Auckland, and in numerous amount of ball stalls, social welfare homes, things like that. So he eventually got into underground scene and the cannabis trade. He was very good at growing it. Growing up, I knew he was quite a green thumb. We had gardens in our backyard, so you weren't shy to have a look and to see what everything was. So that was the only sort of underworld kind of behaviour that my dad did get up to back in his young days. And then he decided that when I was born and my sister was born, that he would change his life, and he turned towards God. I think most saviours of men is God. You'll probably hear that right across the nation, how well God has saved them. But God, for me growing up, as an acronym, because I like acronyms, GOD, is good orderly direction. So that was my God. That was what I classed as my God, was to go in a good orderly direction. And if I was in a good orderly direction, I knew I was one with myself, because that's most important. You have to be one with yourself before you can be one with anybody else.
And when was the moment that you diverted from that ideology, because you got involved with you had some issues as well? I went through no sense of direction. That was after my father had had enough of me. He hadn't washed his hands of me, but he had enough. I think they call that bit of a kick up the bum. My father never hit me, never laid a hand on me, which I'm very, very fortunate about. But if looks could kill, he sure had a killer look. So that pretty much kept me in line. So I'm just thankful, really, that I had a father like that and a mother like that, because it helps me try be a better dad, and also be a better person. And I went through some incidents where I had to sort of rely on others for a roof over my head, basically. I was also one of those kids that spent hours and hours out, when your parents tell you to come back home for dinner. I wasn't one of those kids that would come home back for dinner. I'd be, out there associating with the ones that were supposed to be inside, not inside. I was associating with the, so I was brought up in a little town, in Napier. So there was a lot of dark places in Napier that you can find. So I was hanging out in those dark places. So it sort of gave me reassurance that I was wanted from those people on the street. When you started getting involved with small crimes and stuff, was it out of necessity, or was the fun out of it, or was to prove yourself to the group?
Yeah, it was mostly out of impulse. It was also out of survival. Did a lot of it out of survival. Most of my most of the things I did was out
to survive, basically, because I had no way in hell of living. I didn't know how to live. All I knew was how to survive, and that was from the street, basically. And yeah, it was really, really difficult time for me back then. There, growing up as a teenager, because, like I said, I had a dad that had a disability, and he couldn't kick a ball around with me, go outside and kick a ball around, or things like that. But he could do little things like give me hints on how to pass the ball better, give me hints on where I could have seen, a open gap, or, he was a more observer on the side of the field that could give you good, he was a good commentator too, he had commentators the game in his own, he'd say. Yeah. I give big kudos to him for that reason, all those little things that sometimes people don't really get to see, and other humans, all they see is the bad, they never remember for the good, which is really sad, I feel. Yeah, it's really sad that you're more remembered for the bad things than you did than rather for the good, because, man, I pray and I hope each day that I am remembered for the good things, because I want my children to remember me for the good things, not for the bad things I did in life. I want to set them a good example, them to have a good positive outlook on life. I don't want them to see the negatives of life. I want them all to, all my children to see the positives. And there is positives out there.
Interesting what you said before the show, though. That's how I agree 100%. But the mistakes make us learn, right? They teach us big lessons, right?
Yeah, without mistake, there's no learning. Yeah, and without struggle, there is no survival. So yeah.
When take me through the start of the dark part of your life, of like when you look back now, when you were a teenager, you're doing things and you feel yourself on top of the world.
Yeah.
But looking back now as an adult, when were those moments that you were like, oh yeah, I can identify it. That was hard for me. That was a tough time as a teenager.
So tough times as a teenager was actually because, to be honest, I was the only Māori boy at my school at the time, and there was a lot of teasing going on back then around, Māori words, Māori way of speaking, even like I'm guilty myself of doing that, making mockery of Māori words, or, things like that, where back then those are things that, I wish I had never like kind of did, Yeah, there's a lot of dark times, like, so, yeah. So I remember when I was about 5 years old, and at the time, me and my sister were put into a social welfare home down in Hawke's Bay, and my sister and myself were sleeping in the same bed in the same room as another woman. During our time in that social welfare house, my sister and the girl that was in the same room was getting raped by the carers of, the social welfare carers. They were, so I was there present at that time, even though I was only a young kid. Those are some of the traumatic memories that I have. And how we got out of the house was they had to double me on the bike on the front handlebars and jam my leg in the tyre so that I literally break my leg. So they were able, my sister was able to go to the hospital and tell the nurse about what was happening in that social welfare home. And that's how one of the, probably, the first sort of trauma memory I can remember going through as a child. And and just not having my parents was one of the biggest, darkest moments in my, looking back as a teenager. Not having my parents was the biggest thing. But I did have like other parents, like whāngai parents. I'll talk about them a bit later on. But there's that's probably one of my childhood trauma events that happened. And then I got a little bit older, and I went back to living with my dad. Got the right sense of direction. He tried to heal that trauma as much as he could. He knew that trauma had happened. He also had trauma in his life, also addiction issues. So what he used to do to help heal himself was to attend meetings. And these were meetings held for people that had addiction issues. And they just came together as a group quietly, didn't yell and shout, weren't hippies, nothing like that. It was just ordinary human beings, just like me and you, come together, talk about their problems, go away for another week, come back, or go away for another day, come back, talk about it again, see if there's any solution in the problem that you have. It was really, really good. So I started there as a young child. So even though I was a young child, I was still listening to the messages that were happening in the room. So I think that's where it's kind of helped me to now. Was listening to those messages, even though I was only a child, but even just it going through my ears was privilege enough to actually, and then when I got a little bit older, I started understanding what the meetings were about, and I started singing the songs and started reciting the preambles and the prayers and everything that was involved. Basically, I'll probably recite a whole meeting right now if I wanted to, but I choose not to. So there was those dark times, and there's probably the biggest, the biggest darkest point I had in my life is when I was 18 years old, and I was in a toxic relationship with an ex-partner of mine.
Younger than you? Same age?
She was 2 years younger. She was 2 years, a year and a bit younger. And we were staying with her parents and 3 children. And her parents were meth addicts at the time. So we had no food for weeks on end, days, and so the only kind of time I could contribute was for me to go out and steal tahai, from others, just to put my contribution on the table, because I was a man. I was brought up to provide for your family. I was also brought up to, survive with what you have. And what I had at that time was pretty much nothing, but what was surrounding me, they had everything. So I thought, how come they've got everything and I've got nothing? All right, that doesn't work out. Let's go do that. I put it into plan, into action. So, the community started getting affected by, these choices I was making, but at that time, being young, I didn't even know nothing about that. It was just all about trying to keep the home that I was in, happy. And plus, I was at the age where, 18, no sense of direction. So I carried on, and I eventually come across this random house one day, and we me and her, excuse me, me and her, we just knew that we were hungry and we had to find a home that, looked like a good opportunity. And we found that home. It was a good opportunity. Got what we needed out of there. Until the opportunity came to an end. And we were hit with the owners of the home. We didn't even care. We just kept going. We had taken their vehicle, taken their property. We're not going to stop for nobody. So we just carried on. And then we ended up we carried on not knowing that there was on-duty police officer, or off-duty police officer just waiting down the road. And we went and seek shelter where we knew possible, which was normally trying to head towards trees. I do remember that I was trying to head towards trees for cover. And we found the trees as well as a wool shed. And we were hungry at that time. We hadn't had food for about 4 days. And, we had to eat. There was no two ways we had to eat. So we stopped and we ate and we drank. And we found that we had taken not just a rifle and ammunition from the property, but also we had taken explosives, and we had just taken a mining van, earthworks van that's used in the quarries. We found that, and instantly my criminal way of thinking kicked in. And I knew to get rid of this shit because, we can't be, we're only 18 years, 16 and 18, we can't be classed as driving around a mining van vehicle as the owners, it's like silly. So, we went to those antisocial groups that we needed to go to try and get rid of. So we try to make our way there. Not knowing that the off-duty officer was still parked down the road.
So you did what you had to do.
Yeah, we did what we had to do.
And you kept that car with you, but you knew that you had to ditch that.
Yeah, we knew we had to get rid of that. And
what was the time frame? Like, how long did this all of this take
so
to
within
happen?
an hour. Yeah, so within an hour. Yeah, within the hour. Yeah. So and then we carried on. It eventuated up in a 150 kilometer chase, all the way from Rotorua.
So you were aware that they were after you, or you were just like
No.
trying to know?
I had no idea they were after me. I didn't know that they were sitting down the road. It wasn't until that off-duty, whoever decided to call it in. And that's when the initiation of the chase began, which was happening through Pies Park Gorge at that time. Yeah, so it was pretty hectic. It was a pretty hectic moment.
Do you have a clear memory of the
clear
moment
vision.
clear vision when that moment, the encounter?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, clear vision. There was a certain corner on this gorge that you had to really, really slow down for. We're in a van, we couldn't exceed over 100 k's without. Yeah, so they pretty much did manoeuvres where they tried to stop the van by using their vehicles. That wasn't happening. Yeah, and I knew once. Because I started thinking, oh, hell, these guys are trying to push me over the edge of the cliff. What happens if we blow up? We've got explosives and we go to the side of the thing. I'm not just taking me out, I'm taking probably half of the hill out and the rest that are following. So I decided to pull out and at that time, a 22 that I had robbed from the property, and decided to fire the first warning shot. I think the first warning shot went through the vehicle of a police car and injured the officers. And yeah, it kind of got a little bit messy from there. So they backed off, of course, and they came back with force. Intense force, really intense. I tried to ring 111. I just wanted them to stop.
Tried to ring.
I rang 111 to tell them to stop chasing me, just to give me a moment to get out and run.
Did you have any plans relating to the girl that was with you? Like, did you come up with a
so
quick
we
plan
had
or something?
already sort of come up with a plan to say that I kidnapped her, and that I was holding her hostage.
Oh, shit.
And that I didn't know who she was, she didn't know who I was. So yeah, that was our whole plan. Before ringing the 111, we had already sort of talked it over to each other, what we were going to do. If we got caught, we weren't going to tell anybody, not even our names, But really, if they had stopped chasing me and allowed me to stop the van, I would have got out and I would have ran. And I would have let them catch me that way, honestly. If they had just given me that moment, space and time to just get out, because that's all I wanted to do was get out and run. I didn't want nothing to do with the explosives.
But they also didn't know what you were up to, right?
That they didn't know what I was up to. They thought, these guys are on meth. That was the first thing that came over the news was couple on meth, going on a high-speed chase with police shooting. No one knew, what was going on, what was happening. No one knew what was going on with us. Actually, there was one officer, one detective that's still in active duty today, that shared that story with me, that there was a off-duty officer parked down the road. So he shared that story after I had been, after the event. So he's the only man that, told me about, if he didn't tell me that I had robbed the police officer's home, I would have had no clue at all. So yeah, wow. I'm actually grateful for that man too, that he was he actually was trying to prevent that officer while they were he was trying to prevent them from shooting me. Because he knew me and I knew him, because we like I said, I was on, I was amongst the street.
Yeah. You were around.
I was around the street, and he was a man that was really enthused about his job, and literally this man chased me on the bus just to ask me where this VCR was that I had taken, or one of my crew have taken, wow. From his next door neighbour.
He was trying,
but this guy, he literally tried to, outrank all of the police officers just to get to this one certain group to tell them, hey, look, just give them a moment. I know this guy. I know what they're not normally like this. He tried to give them reason for them just to pull back, and give him the opportunity to talk to me. The next opportunity he got to talk to me was when he was in the jail cell. It was the only next opportunity he got to talk to me. Yeah.
When was the moment that police reacted and that changed the course of your life?
So that happened in Waihi. I was come to a complete stop in the main street of Waihi. There, I exited the vehicle. I know for sure that my gun was unloaded. I wasn't in a shooting position, so I was in the office, and I had been trained that not to point the rifle unless you're gonna pull it. So I had it in that, and I ran for cover. That's all I remember. Man, if we stop, I gotta run. because it's all or nothing. You're in that frame. You run. You fuck everything and run. Fucking get out and run. That's all I wanted to do. Really, I just wanted to be let away from I wanted to be let loose away from life and back into the freedom of
wild.
Yeah, wild. I suppose it was me trying to get out and but I think so the officer shot me from 10 meters away with a 223 Bushmaster. The shot wasn't ordered. There was a shoot to kill order on me, but at that moment there was no order given for them to shoot. So when I think it's the ICPA, don't quote me on that, but they investigated their own and come back that they had done lawful acts, that there was no unlawful acting when pursuing me. Of course, me being young and thinking, I've done this and I've got to face up to my crimes, basically. So we decided to get a lawyer. This lawyer had been well known in the media and things like that, across the media, and I think that was one of the baddest decisions I had ever made, was to get this lawyer.
Where did they shoot you?
Yes, we're back to that, buddy.
No, just because I don't think you mentioned it.
They shot me with a 223 Bushmaster. It went into the side chest, so my side wall of my chest. And it entered, and it pretty much hit the middle of my spine, exploded, and everything went everywhere. And
did you pass out instantly? Like did you black out instantly?
No, I couldn't. So it was bang, they were there. That's how fast that happened. Bang, I seen their faces. There was no cover of faces, so I remember the faces. They're the men who had to pursue their duty, do their job. So that was, it would have been hard for them as well as me, because I know, they're supposed to be covered up, when they're doing those types of things. They don't want to be seen, or, they don't want their but they arrested me. They told me not to resist. I said to them, well, I can't feel anything, mate, so I ain't going to resist nowhere. And he just asked me, what, you can't feel anything? I said, yeah, I can't feel anything. And he instantly took the handcuffs off and called for medical assistance. Yeah, and told everybody to give him some space while they checked me because I wasn't bleeding. The blood hadn't come out. There was no exit point.
Oh, shit.
So there was no blood. It was only dripping. It was just like having a cut.
Yeah.
And it's just dripping like that. So they had no idea. The guy that was there, and so he had no idea I had been shot either. None of them had an idea I had been shot. So the officer that shot me did it out of poor impulse control or bad choice. Yeah. So I can't blame him. You see a gun, of course you're gonna shoot. No matter where the gun is pointed, you
never know.
You still never know. You can. So yeah, at the end of the day, he was, doing his duty. I'm not sure if it was at 100%. I can't comment on that. But yeah, there could have been better things put in place before that event should have taken place.
Yeah. So how does it work in Aotearoa in a case like that, with the discretion of the facts? Like, does it get out in the media, or there's like
So
your name and the story. Do you get the right?
So I remember receiving summary of facts. So that's everything that they've taken photos of. But my mum burnt them. Yeah, she burnt them. Yeah, so yeah, I did. That there was investigation done thoroughly, I believe. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I remember, being numb and then getting medical assistance, and then my lungs collapsed and I couldn't breathe. I remember I couldn't breathe. Yeah, I was gasping for air. This was about 20 minutes after the shooting, and then I wanted to drink a Coca-Cola, which was weird because I remember requesting it on, like, I was furious, like, I just wanted, I'm not too sure, but they said I wasn't allowed to drink, and that I started crying because of that. I wouldn't care about being shot, it's just so I could never drink a Coke. Yeah, it's only because my lungs were getting filled with blood and things like that. So, and yeah, body parts were blown away, and yeah. So I've got a missing spleen, missing kidney, have repair of my lung, pancreas. I still got the bullet of the fragments of the bullet lodged in my spine. So,
how old are you, bro?
So I'm 35 this year. So it's been a few years. I was 18 years old when that happened, or 19 years old when that event happened, and I spent 10 years for that crime.
Were you on a wheelchair?
Yes. So back to that. So I was taken in to Waikato Hospital, flown in, had 3 operations, was on life support, put in an induced coma for about 2 months till my body could heal right.
Already sentenced to jail, or that happened after?
I was in police custody, so I was under arrest, but still in hospital. So police had to be present during the operations, during the recovery, during the everything. I was put into my own room where it was police monitored and everything. Yeah. So until I had actually probably kind of healed and I don't think I could speak my mind at that time because I was wasted on morphine and whatever, ketamine and shit like that. So I couldn't really speak my mind. So yeah, they ended up having a courtroom in my hospital bedroom.
How crazy.
So that I was put into remand. So they wanted police to be taken away and for corrections officers to replace the police officers. Due to the fact that there was things happening in the hospital car park, let's just say, that were fuming towards the police. They weren't too happy with how police operated, or I'm talking about my family. They weren't too happy at all. There were some family members that weren't allowed to see me, that were really close to me, that were, that they weren't like my mum or dad or immediate family, but they were family, that had been close to me at some point in time, and being told that no way in hell you've seen him is pretty much a downfall to that. But in saying that, it was pretty. I was actually surprised. I had never heard of a courtroom happening in hospital room, so that's a first for me. I don't know. My friend Arthur Taylor might know about it. We wouldn't have a clue.
Bro, I wanna of course, I'm curious about that time in jail as someone who was injured, like who it was a disability for you, right? So you
Yeah.
became paraplegic at the time?
Yeah, so the result of being shot was that I was paralyzed from the waist down
Okay.
for 4.5 years. Yeah, my injury was still classed as incomplete, which means the spinal cord can either heal or get worse. So
You got the lucky one.
yeah, I got the lucky one.
Yeah. Before we talk a little bit about that and that time in
Yes.
jail, because it's such a relevant topic there. But I just want to bring a bit of a discussion here. Something that we talk about quite often is the care for the youth
Yeah.
in Aotearoa, because I always demonstrate my frustration being from overseas, from a country that has 200 million people, and coming to New Zealand that has 5 million people. And you would think that people would care more for the youth because it's small and it's right in front of you. Like
Yes.
each person who comes here, they are from a town, small town relatively because of the size of the country. But like everyone knows, and all the communities, people know each other. And people come here and they say, but the youth is struggling, especially Maori and Pacifica youth in those areas. They are struggling. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like your take on what was happening 18 years ago, because now you are involved with a lot of those projects as well to help those hangatari, like those kids to do better. Like, are we talking about like structural issues? Are we talking like?
So I think back in my day, the rangatahi didn't really have any platforms to express themselves on, such as we have today, like social media. So the struggles are a lot different, two different eras, two different lifestyles. I know back when I was growing up as a youth, a lot I had to do about fitting in, about we had that attitude, killed or be killed, kill or be killed. Yeah, it was a neighbourhood like that. We didn't have as much services as we did back then as we do today. So I'm not too sure where I know that we didn't have that many suicide deaths back then than we do, but I'm talking about our rangatahi. We didn't have, like, when I was growing up, I don't think I can remember anyone committing suicide. And then, like, if I think to now, I had a rangatahi 18-year-old girl that was under me that I signed up to help her get into employment, to get her services for her mental health. And then a week later I find out she hangs herself. It's you think that you can do, everything in your power to try to prevent that from someone else, doing that. Because, like, when I really, 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 like, if I micro thought if I micro process my crime, and I think, because there was that question, why did you do it, Jamie? I can't give you an answer. But over the time, that I've had to reflect on it now, it was more or less me trying to exit life the quickest way I knew how. And the most, something that'll be a legacy that'll be, my dad died because he got shot from the cops. There was a legacy. That was like me. I wanted to be, Jamie, he shot it. We'll praise him for years ago. But nah, not even. He's in the earth dead, no one's going to remember you, mate. You're just another number. So, but today, our rangatahi have it hard, not hard as in like old school hard. I mean like outside influence, like social.
It's
Social
mentally.
media.
It's
mentally
mentally like our rangatahi are getting affected from socials, from schooling, from trying to fit in. It's a lot more worse today to try and fit in with you know what I'm observing from our rangatahi. You know, you get one rangatahi might have an iPhone 8, you know, and then you get the next one got an iPhone 11. Oh, hello, the one that's got an iPhone 8 wants an iPhone 12 because that one, you know, he's got something better than them. You know, and these rangatahi, I'm telling you, they must have their parents wrapped around their fingers because they sure as hell get what they want. So I'm not too sure what it is that they do, but they've got, you know, they've got the gift of the gab if they're getting, like, you know, how much one of those costs? They're like, you know, $2,000, you know. It's quite expensive for, you know, if parents are working, you know, full time and a kid asks for that and the parent doesn't really concentrate on what the kid is doing at school or nothing like that, they're just going to give it, no, here you go. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys one more thing as well, and as it just bring you to the conversation. I was talking to a guy the other day at the pub, and he said, I never got much when I was a kid, but now that I have the conditions to give a lot to my child, I give everything that I can.
Yes.
And
Yes.
although the intention was incredible, and I appreciated his devotion, it also made me think, do you really want to give everything for the child?
Well, it's not giving too much because then they expect everything. I've found with certain things I've learned through life is if you appreciate the little things and you're given little bit by bit by bit.
Yeah.
Because if you started off getting given, like for instance, I'm going to go back to Dudley Dursley on Harry Potter. Last year there were 37 about the presents. So if you're given heaps, you expect more. So it's like, but if you're given like a little pretend toy phone, that's amazing. But if you're given, so kids, they learn to expect more.
Yeah.
And they learn, you set a bar and then it's kind of, you have to keep trying to beat that bar.
Yeah.
So I think parents these days, it must be so difficult to want to give their kids things.
Yeah.
But also not give them everything to make them spoiled little shits.
Yeah, because like I have that same problem. Like I was, you know, I had this plan in my head that I want to give my children more than what I had. All right, how do I class more than what I had? You know, because actually I had quite a lot growing up.
Would you give them experience, or do you want to give them financial things?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That so my kids are materialistic kids, you know, they want. So that's my struggle, is trying to find that balance of, you know, what is better than what I had, you know, today. What is that? What does that look like? You know, I'm always asking that question, what does that look like? You know, well, at the moment, it looks like an argument between an adult and a child because I can't work it out, because, you know, they always bring it. But you said you'll give us more than what you had. Yeah, but what if I had McDonald's every day? Do you think I'm going to give you more than that?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah, but they try pull it, you know, they try use some of the good thing, you know, because like I had a pretty good, like, solid upbringing by a lot of people. Like, you know, I also wanted to talk about when I first went into a couple's care, where they were doing quite a lot for the community at that time. So this place was called the Open Home Foundation. It had been, there were a couple that were new to Hawke's Bay, were new to Napier, and they were willing to take me in under their wing. And pretty much not let go. Well, I didn't know what not let go meant. You know, well, why do you mean? Because, you know, because of my abandonment issues, I didn't know what, are you going to let me go when I'm, you know, in a week or 2 weeks? Am I going to go to another family? Or, you know, I didn't know. But this family actually kept their promise. And that couple is still alive today. So they're 19 years old, 90. I was actually supposed to bring, his name is Don Walsh. He was, so he was a farmer, a dad, a builder, also a mentor. And today he's the local driver at the local retirement village in Havelock North, driving around retired veterans around to food hotspots around the country, or around Hawke's Bay, sorry. And when he can, he does take them around the country. But being 90 years old, you know, how far can you drive at 90? Hey, like, you know, like, you'd think that'd be slow and thing, but this couple is
still going.
They're still going, mate, you know. They're still eating their apples and their oranges, and, you know, nothing stops them.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, they're a big believer in, you know, doing things right. And which I do believe too, because why not do something right, you know, the first time, then nothing at all, eh? You might as well not spend any time in doing it. So, yeah, I was really their beliefs had been installed in myself. So, yeah, I'm quite fortunate to have their beliefs as well, their traits, because I picked up on their traits growing up around them. You know, as a child, you pick up on little traits that they do, and you also find out that they think about you the same time that you're thinking about them.
Yeah, it's crazy how it
That's
works.
crazy, mate. Like, I rang him up today, you know, and he said to me, I just put a note on my desk just to give you a phone call. And, you know, because me and Don, we haven't talked for, you know, a couple of weeks now. So we catch up, you know, real good. You know, we're really, we get into depth about, you know, life.
Yeah.
And because he knows that curveballs get thrown all the time at me, and he just wants to know how I handle those curveballs, because, you know, he's got that dad role, eh?
Yeah.
You know, he's got that dad role.
Yeah.
He's always going to have that dad role.
The dad role, the mentor role.
Yeah, that's right, the mentor role. So he's always going to check up on me, you know, and it's really, really inspirational to see, you know, I don't want to say old people, it sounds really thing, but it's really good to see New Zealand Kiwis, you know, just plodding along, getting through life.
Yeah.
And, you know, just doing things simply and slowly, and, you know, just plodding along. And I thought, man, these guys know nothing about life, but I actually took a page from their book and put it into mine. And it actually, there's some kind of light to life. Yeah, there is light to life. You know, yeah.
We learn a lot just from having conversations with other people, right?
We do.
That's the thing, and I'm not too sure if times will make us wise, but it makes us experienced.
It does.
So you become a bit, you take more time to talk about things.
You go
become
slower.
a better listener. You go
less
slower.
hurry.
Yeah.
You learn to listen. You actually learn to listen about what are you saying. Oh, you know, that makes sense. If you actually listen to people instead of trying to listen to them, not trying to reply.
Now, see, there you go. I knew we would find a good segue to go back to that. Speaking of time, patience, you know, and this appreciation of time. I guess 10 years in jail gives you a little bit of appreciation.
It does.
A bit of reflection time. So, like when you were there, most of it, well, 4 years of it was that spent in the chair in there. And
yes. So I had a lovely correctional team around me at that time and stage. I had also had visits from the acting correctional minister to say that, yes, Jamie, we are able to cater for you whilst you're in prison. Yeah.
Was it
And-
accessible?
No.
No, yeah.
Not even the places that are supposed to be
it's
accessible
supposed
are
to,
accessible, right? Azzie? So
Everywhere that's a struggle. We're trying to make New Zealand more accessible, but we've got a little bit of work to do, haven't we? Yes.
Yes.
do it, bro.
Bro, we've got to do not just heaps of work, bro.
We've
We've
got
got a shit ton load, mate.
We
I'm
have,
telling you now, we've got a shit ton load to work on accessibility for people in wheelchairs,
And older
people with
Any-
disabilities,
yeah.
older people. Like, I went to, like, I live in the city, right? I live in Auckland. Like, you come off the train, there's a whole line. There's, like, I mean, like, you're waiting at least 20 minutes just to get out. And, you know, there's so many old people just slowly. And I'm like, I'm trying to look towards the security without giving them, you know, a hateful look. Like, come on. Let the old people through let them out. Like, come
It would
on.
make it faster
Free the
for
old
everyone.
people, mate.
It would make it
Up
faster
the
for
old
everyone.
people.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's something lacking in society in New Zealand, I think. It's when people just being unaware.
You know what? I tell you who I liked. She was a real big better of people with disabilities. She was MP for Labour. I can't quote her name, but she did. She had to go on dialysis, and she ended up having to stop being an MP.
Yeah, because of it. Yeah.
Because of it. And she went on to the disability
Well, because she realised how much work it was in.
benefit.
Because she knew, oh, hang on, this needs some work.
they went on to she went on to she didn't realise how
Aisha.
much suffering that these people were, you know, already
A lot of
going
them-
through,
yeah.
but the suffering of just having that amount of money to deal with, you know,
It's fucking difficult.
stupid, difficult.
it's all
So
fine
I'm
and
grateful for her because she was a real big thing of, you know, upping the disability, you know, upping accessibility for people with disability. I haven't seen, like, come on, the wheel blacks, bruv.
Bro, they're
Like,
great, eh?
I
Fuck.
love them,
I'm trying
bruv,
to look
but
for her
they,
name.
Well, you would have
Bruv,
probably seen if you
you
were
know, I've watched a few trainings in my time.
What, did you ever play?
No,
why not,
dream to.
Go
Love
out
to.
training.
I dream to
Go
play.
out to the Otara Spinal Unit.
Is it
They train out
Georgina
there.
Bayer? that
Yeah,
we're
I know.
talking about?
That's where I
They
was.
train at-
I
yeah,
used to
yeah.
watch them.
Yeah,
I'll
train
tell
with
you
them.
what, they've the guys the face of them on TV now are the guys that had just had their injuries back when I got
When you were in
mine,
there, so
and now the face of the Wheel Blacks.
they're hardcore.
I
those
love them.
guys.
I love them. There should be more media coverage
Oh, you're telling
about
me.
the Wheel Blacks, mate.
Yeah.
I tell you not. And you know what? Even though I didn't win the lotto, I took one of the lottos, right? I went in and I sent him hey, my bro, here's $20, right? Gave him $20. Thinking that I'm going to win 100 grand. Hey, I didn't win, but I still love them, mate, because I'm like, come on, the Wheel Blacks.
Come on,
You're
come
going to
on.
give me a win. You know, and I hope that prize did go out to someone good, you know, someone that needed it. But, you know, at that time, I didn't have a vehicle. So I think it was like $100,000 car or something like this you got. So I think, one of the sponsors hooked them up. Let's not just drop a name, Ford. But yeah. So I didn't win a lot, but I love them, bruv. And I know they done really, really well at the last
They did, man. They did
Olympics.
really well. There was no coverage at all.
There's no fucking coverage.
And you get all the stupid shit.
Excuse my
and then-
language,
No, it's off.
but I hate it.
That's all right.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, like I feel like that we should all get our wheelchairs out, our canes out, our, you know, all our walking frames out, and we should just start a march, you know, about, you know, what's going on, New Zealand.
Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
We're a first world country, but we've got
Yeah.
third world access.
Third world access, like
So many
even
places
on the
are not
public
accessible.
transport. I can't believe it. Like,
It's terrible.
literally, there was a guy in a chair. He came onto the train, and we the guys go in the sit on a wheelchair where they park. They didn't move.
They didn't. I know.
They
God,
didn't move.
I'll tell you what.
You know what I said out loud? Like I just like yelled out, "How rude!" and just turned away like it wasn't me that said it. But how rude, eh? How can they do that? Like,
people,
come on. Like, but accessibility, bro. That was a good convo, bro. You got it started. You got me started on that.
I like it.
It's good because it's something we're all working on at the moment. Like, we've got a little kind of small initiative around the Coromandel at the moment called Accessible As.
Yeah.
Where we're trying to get Coromandel more accessible.
Yeah, most
and
definitely.
Starting conversations.
Yeah,
talking
bro.
To people about it. Getting people involved, going, hey guys, we need this. Not only for people in chairs.
Yeah.
People with mobility needs.
Yeah.
Older people. But it's just starting those conversations.
Yeah.
And it's interesting,
people
isn't
to
it?
talk about it. And
Mate.
Because the
it
houses...
gets people talking.
Yeah.
So many houses. My mate in Hamilton couldn't come.
I hope my cousin, what's his name, old Mr. Waititi, is listening and watching. And we want some kind of something done about this, about the accessibility for disabled people in New Zealand. What's going on? Rita Ora. Come on, Rita Ora. I know you love me. Even though you married my cousin. Bloody hell.
It's like my
and
mate
she actually thought he was Samoan.
yes.
Our family was so offended when she said that. They were. Those buggers on the coast were jumping up and down with their fishing rods and their gumboots.
Yeah.
Bloody buggers. Yeah, mate. Come on. Let's do it.
It brings me back to my mate in Hamilton who uses the buses for public transport and uses a chair.
Yeah.
He can't go anywhere on the weekends because on the weekends they use the inaccessible bus for his route. So he's stuck at home on the weekends because they use the bus. It's got a flight of fucking stairs to get up.
Yeah.
And he relies on either the bus or paying ridiculous amounts for a taxi.
And also, mate, I've got to put out this. I think a lot of more homes should be, like more state homes should be built.
Oh, you're telling me.
You know, our tangata, they have disabilities. Come on. Like, you know, we're... Man...
I know, I get you on that. I get you on that.
I'm speechless.
Well,
I know that there's a lot of support out there
it.
for us, bruv. There's a lot of support out there. Yes. And we'll get it going. We'll get it up and running.
When you were spending that time and you said that you actually received a lot of support in jail.
Yes.
Compared to the other inmates, could you tell a difference in the treatment because you were young, because you had a disability?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Did you get to connect with them? Did you have the chance, or you were a bit more apart?
No. I connected with everybody I come across. Any walks of life, I connected to. Yeah, unless, you know, I pretty much can, I can talk to anybody, really. If they're willing, there was a thing growing up where I was taught, there was a lot of, people always ask, how do you do it? Or if you listen to the word how and you put it into an acronym, HOW, you think it is honest, open-minded and willing. And that's how you do it. If you're open-minded, or if you're honest, open-minded and willing, you're pretty much set, eh?
Could you see a clear division of groups?
Yes.
In jail?
Yes.
What, more gangs or ethnicities or just like...
So there was, how I was talking about there was guys in there that had no sense of direction? Well, there was also another guy that was probably staying next to him that had no sense of direction, but they could relate somehow. And sometimes it'll be in a group, that group relates because of that. That group relates because of that. I never saw them as like, that's that gang, that's this gang. Yeah. But you do know, who's who.
Yep.
But because in there I was on a committee, right? So I was doing a long time. So I'd come across guys that were only doing 6 months, to 2 years. You know, I wouldn't even talk to them. They were just a goodbye and hello. That's where you could see the difference between groups, because you knew that group was getting out earlier than that group, and that group was getting and then it came back to the group that were never getting out. Well, I was in that group, and I was a part of that committee, which was like double digits or not getting out. And so we had control over the prison environment at that time, as well as we had officers on our side as well, you know, because without us, the yard couldn't operate in a smooth manner how officers wanted it to be for them, so they could just sit back and drink their cups of tea and talk about shorty and whatever. You know, we made their job a lot easier, so we were kind of becoming, it was more of a unity kind of thing as prisoners, not as gangs. Because at the end of the day, there was guys that, you know, it was, you know, us against them.
Man, we haven't touched yet on a big one that I want to bring to the table. Maybe it's a good opportunity now.
Yeah, most definitely.
Which is drugs.
Yeah.
That was a big thing in your life that dictated a lot of your actions and the way that you made choices. What was the big one for you? Was it meth?
Yeah. So